Test. Okay. Let's see if we can get this feeling correct. All right, and we're back. Back to normal. Carl Design, how you doing? Orkin, great to have you. The Bone Brew. I will get to your questions momentarily. Julio, how you doing? So this is an impromptu stream. Waffles, what's going on? McCannally, great to have you. Okay. Because I got my time zones mixed up, and I thought I'd be back for our regular Evangelia. Great to have you. I thought I'd be back in time for our regular scheduled stream. Turns out I wasn't. So I'm doing a quick little catch-up stream for us all. Let's see. Now, my camera, I believe, is like my face cam is all over the place. I'm blown out like crazy. But you know what? It's going to have to do. Because no one's here to look at my face. You are here to look at this stuff. So, let's get cracking, shall we? Alright, talk to me. The Bone Brew. I know we talk a ton about gesture and stylization here, but how much or little importance do you place on analytical methods? Trying to become intuitive in perspective and figure is what I'm seeking. Yeah, it's got to be a mix of both, you know? Use the techniques that you learn to become more intuitive, you know? So you know them more as a second nature. And for me personally, I'll pick and choose what sort of makes sense for me, or what clicks with me, you know, depending on what I'm trying to achieve. Like, how can I even explain that? Sorry, I'm just getting situated. Eric, he made a real one. Beautiful. Eventually, I'm in the UK and have actually fixed my sleep schedule. Congratulations. Meaning I could not watch any of your streams. Bugger. That's all right. No worries. They're recorded, so you can always come back. All right, let's get cracking. Let's just do something. All right, let's just slip straight into our comfort zone. Here's a face. All right, but I want to get out of my comfort zone eventually, but just to get started and stop chatting. And then I just go directly back to chatting. Vashni, how you doing? Is intuition simply developed through rote practice and drilling and nothing else? I guess my real question is, how can I level my hand as fast as my eye levels, and how can I get better at self-teaching? Doing that at the same time is very tricky. Your eye is always going to be a little bit of a step forward, or not always, but the typical trajectory is your eye is going to be a few steps forward than your hand. So give yourself some patience with that, right? Don't stress yourself out too much, and know that it's a part of the process, right? If you can get to a point where it's just like, yep, you recognize it is just all part and parcel of the process, then it takes a lot of that pressure off, and then you can focus on what you actually want to get good at versus getting good at something super, super fast because you feel like you've got to hit a certain milestone or a goal within a certain time, you know? That doesn't help your growth or learning. At least it didn't with me. Most of my growth and learning came from just pure interest, you know? Just pure excitement about the subject matter. Because then you'll figure out ways to get the result you want. You know, instead of having this general idea of, oh, I've got to learn anatomy now. It's like, what if I positioned it in a way where it's like, okay, I want to learn how to, I don't know, make my characters feel like this particular style, or make my characters feel more dynamic, right? Then you've got a goal. Then you've got something to shoot towards, you know? Maybe you want to play more with shape language. Maybe you want to, having a little bit more of a goal, or even just a loose idea instead of a vague, like, I need to learn anatomy and I need to do it quickly. I think you'd be better off if you come to a conclusion of like a goal or a style or an outcome that you're after. So then you have something to aim towards. But I don't know if that makes sense to you. Hopefully it makes sense. Nintendo, earlier stream, thank you. Yeah, it's a impromptu, weird old little stream. It is a Thursday afternoon for me right now. Or not afternoon, morning. 9 a.m. Not actually, no, incorrect. 9:55 a.m. All right, so we're just cruising. We're just getting the old hand and eye warmed up. And I'm getting used to going back and forth with chat again because I've had like about a month off of like proper streams. Fashiony Briggs, what exactly is stylization? Does it refer to drawing parts of the body in certain ways, having a unique way of library, or something else entirely? Please clarify. Oh, that's a very interesting question, and I don't know if I have the answer to it, and I don't know if there is a clearly defined answer. You can get a vague general answer, like, okay, stylization. It's kind of like, what is poetry? Okay, you can define what poetry is, maybe, but then you've got all these like offshoots of what it looks like, you know? What is an action movie? Well, you know what I mean? Same kind of question, so it does make it hard to answer, if that makes sense, because my taste of stylization is going to be very different to your style, your taste, you know what I mean? Is caricature stylization? If yes, then what is caricature? You know, so it's kind of like it's a tricky one. A collection of visual shorthands for underlying form is what I've come to. Yeah? I've never thought too hard about that, if I'm honest. Like, what is the definition of stylization? I'm just like, oh, this feels fun to me, and then I just do it, you know. Will Rem be hanging with us tonight? Rem is back so I'm back in Australia now. So Rembo is back in Santa Monica. So yeah, I got back a couple of days ago. Had an unbelievable trip. Had the best time. But I would like to figure out how to do some more streams with him. Because I've learned a ton from that fella. Even just like... Do I have it here? No, I don't think so. But even just like traditional stuff, you know? Traditional ballpoint pen. Like I've just become a lot more confident with just like drawing stuff. One thing that he mentions is like imparting your will on the canvas. And I never thought of it like that. But it makes a lot of sense, because I don't know if you guys have like ever been hesitant to draw something, even though you have an idea and you want to do it, but you're like hesitant because you're like, oh, I don't know exactly how to draw it, and it's probably gonna turn out shitty, right? But that's where I like ended up doing. I just like let loose one day while I was over there, and just embraced the chaos, but still was grounded in like perspective and that kind of thing. This is I don't know if Rebel's going to open. There we go. Not now. Blah, blah, blah. Stream of consciousness. Do you want to save? No. So this guy, this is what I'm talking about. Just like letting loose and just going ham. Whoops, I got some Instagram commentaries. And I can't scroll up. How long did it take you to figure out your style of drawing? How long it took to develop it? I'm still going. It's never done. You know? Being self-taught is hard since it depends on understanding what you currently don't understand so you can get better. I can see where you're coming from. But even, let's say you were enrolled in a course, right? Like a university or whatever. You still have to self-teach. Like that never ends. And then when you're out in the job market, you still have to self-teach. So I think the key there is getting around people that you trust in whatever form to point you in the right direction and have an extra set of eyes across your work, versus feeling like you're missing out on something because you're quote unquote self-taught, if that makes sense. All right. Cool. This is feeling fun. This is got the cobwebs out. All right, let's just do a bit of this. Maybe keep a bit of that shine on the hair there. All right. Fun. Cool. Nikki. How you doing? Is this Nikki? I can't see the bloody... I can't see the avatar. I can't. You're obviously Nikki, but I don't know if it's the Nikki that I think it is. I think maybe. It is. Okay, cool. How you doing? Because my screen is way far away. I've not got my usual setup as normal, so I can't really see. What app are you using, and what are the file settings when you start a new artwork? This is Photoshop. This is standard Photoshop. It's a 4000 by 4000 canvas. Could you explain how you stylized hair? Oh, I can explain how I did this pretty quick. You know, nothing too crazy. I'm just looking, because we're using reference, I'm just looking at the reference, simplifying it down instead of getting into the nitty gritty of all the little strands and whatever. It's, I just sort of encapsulated a shape to begin with. All right, then within this, if we, let's take a look. We can also start to think of it as like a three-dimensional object as well, but instead of like all the little strands and whatnot, which you can do, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm thinking of it more as a, like a solid thing that is sitting on the skull, right? Or on top of, just, instead of thinking of it as a skull, just for simplification, it can just be like this shape, right? So it's sitting on top, so we imagine that this is just like a solid thing. All right, these are like, I'm thinking about the wireframe here, not less so like these being strands. This is like a three-dimensional sort of thing. Right? A clump of clay even. You know? You could sort of delve into the more three-dimensionality of it, or you could just keep it more 2D and simplify these shapes. Right? Instead of following the exact line of everything, we can just come through and just even just think about some of the ways that it would fit on the head, but not being too close to the reference. Or you can do whatever you want. There's no rules to any of this stuff. But it's like, if we want to stylize it, we can just fluff about, you know, simplify. Because if I did like realistic hair on this guy and like really went like nitty gritty, and it's like, okay, so this hair comes in, it'd kind of break the illusion a little bit of the stylization of what I've already got here. So we've set up almost the language, if that makes sense, before, like just with everything before that we've drawn. Christian, what's going on, dude? Dude, we're in a similar time zone now. How is New Zealand? Kern, see you drawing. This guy makes me think you could draw that streamer German 985 real good. I'm not familiar. The streamer, yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming he looks like this fella. I think these eyes could... Okay, also, I don't want to get too nitty gritty. This is like just the getting the cobwebs off. Where's my plugin? There it is. Come on. Also, how's all the audio and everything? Is it all working correctly? Because I've had to shift a few things around. We could play with like wider eyes potentially. Wider and smaller eyes, but maybe, I don't know. Pretty cool. Similar to San Diego, man. Everything's similar to San Diego, right? At least from here. Adelaide, similar to San Diego. New Zealand is similar to San Diego. Nikki, thank you for letting me know. John Ben, your deep voice scared the ladybug climbing on my iPad. My apologies. Also, are you outside? Have you got an in-house ladybug? Give us some more context here. Sounds good that it is to say. Okay, good. Good. All right, let's knock him back and let's do one quick little pass. But yeah, the US trip was phenomenal. I cannot wait to go back. I miss it already. I miss the people. I miss your funny accents. I miss your turning right on red. I miss the respect that you guys have for pedestrians, if I'm honest. Like, that just seems to be something that's very different to here. Like, there are a lot of stop signs, but also the respect, at least in California, that pedestrians get. Like, you could just start walking and people will actually stop. It's bloody crazy. It just appeared on my sketch pad, then climbed on the, I see. I'm in a cabin upstate New York, so I guess there's still about, nice, nice. Legal jaywalking. I did not do any, yeah, it kind of is, right? I did not jaywalk. We can't be putting that out there, Nikki. I want to come back. That's a California law thing. Is it? Fascinating. We should adopt some of that over here because yeah, we've got, yeah, there's an issue with that. But no, I love it. I love that place. Cannot wait to come back. But one thing I do like here is that whatever the price is on a thing is the price that the thing is. There's no sneaky little taxes. It's just if the thing is $10, it's $10. It's not an extra little something, you know? That's a California. Pedestrians have the right of way. That's so odd to me. Because I was going there like really hesitant and just like, but by the end of it, I was just like, excuse me, watch out. I got a whole, I got like a true American experience. I got to go to the DMV. I got to experience real American life. It is pretty much exactly the same over here though. All right, I'm noodling. Let's get out a noodle. Traveled around EU and everything was cheaper than the US too. I hear real estate is overpriced in New Zealand, but how are the groceries and cost of living? So John, I'm from Australia. So yeah, it's a lot cheaper here, but I wouldn't even say like, yeah, real estate and everything a lot cheaper. Groceries cheaper. In some regards, I mean, the price of bananas in California was unbelievable. I couldn't get over it. They were so cheap. It was great. But like meat and everything, it was a little bit more expensive. But I mean, where I stayed, it's like, I think the most expensive place in bloody America. So it kind of makes sense. No, you're fine, John. You're fine. That's all right. I was talking about New Zealand before, so nah, I'll forgive you this one time. Ato the fourth, what a horrible vacation destination. I have to disagree with you, my friend. Although it wasn't so much a vacation for me, it was for more work and business. All right, let's increase. Okay, I'm noodling. Let's refrain from the noodle. Let's finish it up. Or not even finish it up. Let's just... Now, I did have an idea while I was over there as well, because I want to start playing around drawing some more animals. So I would like to maybe do some sort of challenge. I threw it in the Discord, and you guys seem pretty keen to do like a little like animal character challenge where you you create a character, like a human character based on an animal. I've seen that go around a few times. It's obviously like not some original idea, but I think it would be cool. So because you have to like understand the animal to a certain degree, so it's kind of making it a little bit more fun. Just something a bit different. So yeah, maybe we could do like a challenge across a few streams. We can go back and like I can whack it in my stories and do like a draw this in your style kind of vibe. TJ, yeah, do be careful if you go elsewhere. It's definitely not the same. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I did think it was odd. But no, I've had it ingrained in me here that it's not the norm. So all right, okay, enough fluffing about. Also, thank you to those that popped into the sketch catch up in Santa Monica. That was a good bit of fun. Quite a few of you made the trip. So no, it was great to finally see some of you in person and see some familiar faces again. I'm gonna see if I can make that like a yearly thing as well. I might even prepare it in a way so it's like around like the lightbox area potentially. Like lightbox time, lightbox area, because people are already there, you know. All right, enough. Okay, let's have a look. Let's get some. What tablet are you using? What do you recommend? I recommend whatever you're comfortable with and what your budget allows. 1, 2. This is a Cintiq 32 Pro that I got secondhand, and it's got a dead pixel right down the middle of it. But I got a lot cheaper than whatever. Than if I bought it new, if that makes sense. And I like both your pen tablet where you're looking at you're looking at the screen, and I also like the screen tablets as well. Either work for me, you know. Let's see what we've got here. So these are some saved figure stuff, some landscapes. Let's see what it gives us. Keep it PG, please. Pinterest, just for me. Let's go into my figure. Let's go stream figure. Do we have stream figure? See what we got. Let's see what we can do, you know. Yeah, so we did these a few streams ago. What are we thinking? What are we thinking? These folds seem fun. Let's see what we can do with this. So we've got to make sure that we ground this figure. All right, get that gesture. Let me get the gesture first. Get that head tilted back. Just that vibe of the head tilt. Of like, okay, she's like looking that way. And you got that there. So I'm gonna do sketchy to begin with. All right, sketchy. She's pulling out the jumper a little bit. But this is that, I guess, that gesture that we're starting with, okay? Something to build off of. Right, we've also got the horizon line, which is about here. How do I know that? I don't know it 1000%, but I can guesstimate because you can see that that back foot is going back into perspective. Right, so I can guess, right, making a little educated guess that horizon line is about there. Okay, and that's how you can really quickly flatten out a figure, like particularly with this sort of like longer lens-ish kind of deal, is if you just put the feet right next, like right behind each other. Right, but if we want to give it a little bit of dimension, we can show that foot. Right, she's kind of doing that sort of thing. Now we could fisheye it a little bit. We could maybe make it so, okay, we're sort of looking up and looking underneath here. If we want to, I don't know. Let's just go. Sergio, a secret stream. That's right, don't tell anyone. Have you ever tried drawing creatures or sci-fi characters? Not a lot. I would like to experiment a lot more. J. Alejandro, I like your post about alignment of ears and nose to draw the face. If you could explain that again, that would be great. Okay, let's do it in context. All right, so let's say that this is the head. Okay. So if that head was looking straight at us, the ears would kind of maybe be here, right? If we scooch the ears down, that implies that the head is tilting up, right? If we scooch the ears up, that implies that the head is tilted down, you know? So that's like a real quick way of explaining it, but it's like a nice little rule of thumb. Doesn't work all the time, like it's not a cure-all for everything, but it gives you something to start with. All right, so let's see, what can we do here? I'm going to draw the full head, and you notice here, right? This ear, I'm seeing more of it. This here, we might not even see that ear. We may or may not, depending. But I'm just going to leave it like that. That's fine for me. We got hair. I mean, we could just have it where she's got hair. It's not a hoodie, but I kind of like the hoodie. We can, let's see if we can just like put the hood back. So then she's looking back. So yeah, we're just experimenting at the moment. Just experimenting. I study Photoshop, but it is hard when I can't remember all the shortcuts. Don't try and remember all the shortcuts. That would be my advice. Because what are all the shortcuts? For me, the shortcuts are Control Z. That's it. Really. Spend your time learning the skill of drawing, and the shortcuts will come. Now she's looking a little bit off balance, right? So I'd almost want to push this back a little bit. Yeah, she's kind of like tipping over a touch. All right, so let's see. If we can place that neck. Does the glove actually help? I never use mine, Barry. It lets me, because it is a larger screen, right? So this is like the length of the screen that I'm going here. It does let me sort of like slip and slide across, but you might not like that. You know, you might just want it to feel a little bit stickier. Nothing wrong with that. Give it a try. You know, you never know if you don't give it a whirl. Candace, how you doing? Oh, it was beautiful. It was such a good time, Lightbox. What's it? Ben, do the free ren meme, please. What is the free ren meme? I have no idea what you're talking about. All right, I think we could give this a little more attitude. Let's poke some of these shapes out. Give it some structure. Tony McCrory drew a quick sketch of you. Send it to your Insta. Ah, fantastic. I have to check it out after the stream. Legend. Meme is drawing the character at a tough angle. Friar Meme is drawing the... Okay. Oh, is that upwards chin one that I've been seeing? Is that the same? Aha. I see. Someone posted a drawing of the character Freeren on Reddit. Oh, it's a character. Okay. seeking advice on perspective. It blew up with people making fun of it at first, scumbags, but has moved through the art community positively. Positively. Not scumbags. Nice. Do I follow any steps to draw folds? Yeah, I think of these, well, not steps per se, more of like a way of thinking. Like I think of these as three-dimensional shapes, let's say, right? And these three-dimensional shapes are, like the folds are literally three-dimensional shapes, right? So I can imagine, like depending on how technical you want to go with all the folds, that's how I'm thinking about them. They've got dimension, and then it's up to you how you want to describe that dimension. It could be something as simple as this, you know, but it's still implying that there's three dimensions here, if that makes sense. Like it's at that point, it's just a style thing. It's like a line work. That's what most things I think of in the forms of like three dimensions. Nape art. Appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. All right, let's see if we can get a nice little thumb going here. All right, make it a little bit more stylized. Again, what does that mean? I don't know. I made the hand bigger. That's really about it, you know. See if we can shapeify some of these legs. Rafael, how you doing? So she's kind of pushing that out a little bit. Might even see the other thumb on the other side. And this is stretched, so there's going to be very little like wiggliness there, so we can sort of imply that stretch. Don't like that. Let's go. So I'm not going for too much detail yet. I would like to push it a little bit further though, you know. Like really just like poof, poof. Have those ankles. Their shoes, like real chunkify, like just boom, boom. Because she's kind of got her feet like pointed inwards. Doing good, just working on a concept art assignment for school. Fantastic, I hope it's doing well. Again, coming back to that idea of the horizon line. Right, so we want to make sure that could even imply that this is sort of tilted away from us a little bit, like the leg. If we imagine like a center line of the shoe, let's say, going that way. Could be a little bit too extreme, but you know, it's fine. And then this shoe is going to be going back. And this is where that, like, what we did talk about very briefly earlier, like that intuitive perspective, I guess. And a lot of that comes from just understanding again where that horizon line is. How each line should be indicating or at least like telling the viewer and reinforcing that perspective. All right, because if we were to encapsulate this, say in like a box, I know some people don't like boxes, but you know what, I do. I think they're very helpful. So if we were to imagine no, sneeze didn't come, okay. All right, box is looking straight at us. Box is slowly tilting away. Even more. Slightly more. Right, and this is where we've got that shoe. We're seeing more of the top of that shoe versus if we were just looking at it straight on, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. I'm not just talking garbage, you know. Mayhem, thank you so much. Thanks for popping in. Based on your process with regard to the details, which ones would you say are the best to focus on? There's no real like defined quote unquote detail process per se. Again, kind of what I'm thinking about is that overall, like how is she fitting in three-dimensional space, right? Again, if we do like a large, this is where this did trip me up for a long time. It's like, okay, if I do a box, does that mean that I have to, like, everything has to adhere to that box, right? No. But let's say, like, this is kind of what I'm imagining. Okay, so this box is in perspective and she kind of fits within that. But each element of her, say her head, her arm and that kind of thing, is going to be tilting in different ways that isn't going to adhere to this box. Right? But how does this have anything to do with detail? Well, detail should adhere to whatever position that this particular object is in three-dimensional space, right? So for example, the detail, and I've just gone and drawn over everything, haven't I? All right, undo. So say if I'm going to do the detail, quote unquote, of the seams, right? I'm not going to do a seam like this because that tells me something different to what is actually happening, right? If I imagine this is like a cylinder, right? I'm not going to put a seam like that. I'm going to wrap it around that object. So details really help us. They're little helpers, they're little tools that we can use to reinforce the reality that we've created with our perspective. That's one way of thinking about it, at least when it comes to line, if that makes any sense. I feel very rambly today. My apologies. Mark, it is 10:39 a.m., my friend. What are you doing up at 3? Geo, hi Ben, I've been doing a lot of plein airs and I'm having trouble drawing the face from a side profile. Side profile, there we go. And backside view, any tips? I would give yourself a challenge, even just like a mental challenge of not thinking, like say if you're, I'd imagine you're using reference, right? If you have a back view of a head or even a profile, right? Thinking about the fact that even though it's profile, that it's 3-dimensional. Okay, even when it comes down to like the shoes here, they're sitting on a 3-dimensional plane, right? If we imagine that, like that she's standing on a box even, okay? We can imagine that, right? Same deal with this head. It's wrapping. Everything is in 3 dimensions, okay? So the eyes are going to be set back a little bit, right? This part of the temple is going to be closest to us versus this part of the head, like the center part of the head, right? The nose is going to cut in to this shape that we've created because the nostrils overlap the cheek, right? The lip, this top lip is going to overlap that bottom lip, right? So you can just keep that in mind. I mean, this isn't the best profile view, right? But then you got the chin. This chin is in front of the neck, okay? All right, so that could cast a shadow. All right, same thing with the nose, could cast a little shadow. Right, this ear is going to be in front of this back of his head. Right, so there's depth. Same thing as the back of the head. So if you can think of it more like that, I think that'll help you out a ton. That there's always 3 dimensions. What's in front, what's behind, what's going on, how's it curving around, if that makes any sense at all. Hopefully. So I turned the reference to face us a bit instead, much harder than I expected. The bone brew, yep, as soon as you start turning things slightly, the difficulty increases. But it's a fantastic practice, you know. Very good practice. Maybe she's got on like a backpack. Right, and because we understand all this stuff, right? Say we've got the horizon line and all that, we can then start adding things. Right, now she has a backpack. Right, and that strap is going to come down here. And it kind of fits in the little reality world that we've created. Right, maybe there's a little sort of pocket here, break that silhouette a little bit. That hood might be sort of bunching up. Or maybe the hair even. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, 5i DNZ. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I might have to give it a whirl. Lazy sketch guy. Great to have you back. Debating whether to leave and go back to sleep or stay and be cranky at work later. Go to sleep. Mark. There you go. Number 3. Good night, Mark. Have a great day at work. Geo. Another question I have is how do you not rush the creative process while also keeping the deadline in mind? I've been having this issue for years where sometimes I get into a zone and I naturally take my time with my work, but at the same time, I mostly try to get the end result quick and often rush my process and work. I end up repeating the same thing over and over again. Okay, but at the same time, I mostly try to get the end result quick. Reduce the scope of what you're working on. Like or what you're studying, you know? Reducing the scope takes the pressure off. Right, and then it forces you into sort of like a smaller time frame. But also it gives you time to like take your time instead of rushing trying to get the whole thing finished, because you've reduced the scope of what you're working on. It gives you some room to take a breath. You've got time. This isn't such a massive undertaking. You know, that's how I would tackle that, if that makes sense. Sam is remembered as passionate a lover as he is artist. I can only imagine. Not from experience, but gesture for speed, slow down for everything else. I don't even know if gesture for speed, really. Because you could do slow gesture. Right, there's nothing wrong with slowing down. Taking your time, looking, observing. No, this nose is doing my head in. Appreciate it, Mark. I hope the stream is the berries as well. Well, guess what I learned today? Water-based markers are awesome, especially if you use a water blender. They act so much like watercolors. It makes me happy. Oh, fantastic. I'll have to try them out. Tyler, what's going on, dude? Artie Supertramp. Have you ever used Procreate, Ben? What are your thoughts about it? I love it. Procreate's fantastic. I think it's really good. Not loving this face, if I'm honest. It's a little bit too in that, like, no man's land. We shall start again. Because also I made her hands quite big, so we could chunkify the head a little bit more. Mythical stream pool while at work. Nice one, man. Fuku, I'm doing well. How you doing? I gotta like say your avatar name a little bit differently. Can you give me an example of when you say reducing the scope? So instead of like a full figure, right? Instead of this whole thing, let's just see if you can nail maybe like the feet. The feet on, like if we're just talking pure study, right? The feet that feels like they're on like a flat surface, okay? Because you've scoped that, right, it's very specific, okay? You can take your time, slow down. Right? Also, I'd think about each stroke that you're putting down as well. A little bit more. So if you, like, say for example, if I'm just like going and I'm just like, ba, 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 cool, 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 yeah, this comes out here, nose, ba, ba, ba. I'm not thinking too much, right? But if I say, okay, let's think. Throw the chin in here. Okay, now where is that ear? All right, just like sort of place it. Think. Breathe, you know? Take a minute. And start. Start just thinking a little bit, you know? Where are these eyes going to be looking? Probably at us. Ideally. Where are these eyebrows? Is she going to be a bit annoyed? I like that vibe of her being a little bit annoyed. Alright, now let's think. Do we give her short hair? You know, we could just start slowing down, like really. I mean, I don't like that person. Like, it's not looking ideal, but that's the way that I'm thinking. Leonore, how you doing? This is my first time catching one of your streams. How often do you do this? This is not the regular time, but I do this every week. Sundays around 4 p.m. PST. All right, now here's an example of that ear being like a nice little helper for us. I wish it was a little bit larger because I'm working very small. Yeah, I don't really. Why am I working so small? So this is a very tricky angle, and I think I've inadvertently done this bloody meme. Hmm. I need to learn how to get my gesture to be more polished. In traditional granite, I'm doing everything in ink. I need to learn how to get my gesture to be more oh, sorry. Is a repeat. Thank you for the clarity. I'm trying to actually think about my work and improving my process as a director in the art. So things like this help me and the next generation of artists. Beautiful. Glad to hear, Gio. Dang, I'll be working during then. I happened to stay home today and got lucky. Zephyr. Oh, they're all recorded as well, so. Glad to hear it, Zephyr. Appreciate you popping in. Yeah, this head angle is tricky as fuck. Kayla, how you doing? The Bone Brew. So I have drawn 4 different times. Yeah, fantastic. Ato the 4th. I'm amazed you don't just move features around with the lasso tool. I could do that, but I'm trying to like understand. Like, I like to feel what's wrong more so. I do that sometimes. Like, I'm not saying that I would never do that. But like, I feel like I lose a little bit of that feeling of solidity if I just like start moving stuff around with the lasso tool. So we're gonna think about these as like solid eyeballs. Now how they fit. Because there's going to be, because we're looking up, like this this lid on the bottom, right? See, but 12, how you doing? So for example, like what I'm thinking of here. So we've got the eye, and we've got like your typical lid, let's say, and then you got that part of the eye, and then this comes here, let's say. When we tilt that upwards, or imagine we're looking underneath it, this, right, is going to move closer. If we imagine like a horizon line, even if we just imagine this is like not even an eye, but like a sphere with like a ledge, right? As we tilt that, it's going to get closer to the horizon, and eventually that will sort of curve the other way, and then we'll see maybe the top slightly of that upper lid, and then there's the eye where we are looking upwards at it. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking of here, and this is where it gets pretty bloody tricky, trying to navigate that. But now you can see that we're kind of looking upwards at that eye. That's all I'm thinking about. Okay, all's good here. Thanks. Sat down to have dinner and saw that you were streaming, so I thought I'd pop in for a few. It's always a pleasure to always a pleasure to have you. Appreciate you popping in. All right, now we've got a little bit of that dimension. Because even with let's say, even with different like expressions, if this eye was like squinting straight on, we'd need to keep that into account if we were looking at it from this angle. Like, it might even be so, you know what I mean? Like, we've got to take into account this as well. Am I still in the US? No, no, back in Oz. Back in Australia. Now we're going to be looking upwards at this mouth. Alright, so we don't want to draw it like that. You want to take into account. Whoa, 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 whoa. That this is a three-dimensional form. Alright. And even if she's smiling, right, it's going to be a little bit subtle. A little bit more subtle, let's say. It's just to give you an idea of sort of what I'm thinking about, but I really want to simplify the shapes. Like even that will do. Oh, maybe not. This eye looks a bit crossed. We can add back the glasses maybe. Where are the bottom of those glasses going to sit? There. You know, this is just a puzzle. All a puzzle we're trying to figure out. Awesome. I hope you had a good time. Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. Now, because we are looking upwards, maybe the shoulder is a little bit higher. Right? So that gives it more context because we're not going to see all of this, the neck connecting to the collar, like the collar and everything like that. Not a massive fan of this face, if I'm honest. It's okay. She has like a motorbike helmet on. So then we just cover up all the hard work that we just did. So yeah, this stream is just a very chill, get back into the swing of things. Nothing too crazy. So if we were to do the helmet, how would that be? Maybe it pinches her hair in the back there. So we'd then imagine that we've got the... So I'm just exploring at the moment. I'm just having some fun, just drawing. Nothing too complex. I'm just discovering. Like, what does a helmet then look like? Like underneath here. Maybe some... Maybe. I don't know. What does motorcycle helmet? Okay. I mean, she could even be holding one. So how would it be holding if she's holding it? That way. Yeah, and this way you can just play. This is where, like, I would encourage you to just continue to explore. Because this is like a little challenge, right? But it's kind of just a bit of fun. Like, how would you fit this on her head? Something like that. Then we would still see the inner part of her head there. This is a good little perspective challenge as well. Draw something first, then add to it. Helmet gave it more personality. Yeah. This is also feeling a little bit more brush penny. TRB, any tips on learning to draw from imagination? Did you just keep trying to do it, then eventually you were just able to do it well? I would recommend, if you're trying to draw from imagination, build the drawing, you know, or start thinking in that way of like you're building up a drawing. Right? I didn't have this in my head prior, you know, like you have to work at it, definitely, right? Otherwise it's just going to be extremely frustrating because you're not working that muscle, because it's a different way of thinking, right? But it's like, I would recommend even, all right, you've drawn a figure, let's say, kind of what we did here. I was like, all right, now I want to give her a helmet. How can I do that? Well, we need to understand the head angle, the head tilt, right? So I'm building on top of what's already there, you know? Then we can start to build off. Build off of these things, right? Like we want a little bit of wind, right, going in this direction. Right, maybe a hair sort of like flicking that way, you know. Then we could draw like really anything. Once you've got the idea of that perspective, you can start placing whatever you want wherever. Like we can throw another box here, like another cylinder, and they all sort of like fit within the same thing. So this is more of an exercise I've been doing recently, is just like adding more and more I also feel like this could maybe... Oh no, I'm in the wrong. Because it's kind of like slanted a little bit this way. It's not terrible, it's whatever, but... Can we try a bit of this where it's just the leggings are all just dark. What do we think? Yeah, it's fine. Don't know if I like it or not though, so. Ben, is it possible to pull your camera over to the right above the chats? Pull your camera to the right over the chat, make it ever so slightly smaller to see one of the other references. There you go. Hopefully that is better for you. Hey, I think I missed all the live streams when you were still in the US. When I got back from Lightbox, my schedule at home was packed. Great to have you, Andy. Yeah, I only did a couple of live streams. I did one at Proco. I did one at Christian's house, I think, maybe. Yeah. Oh yeah, we did it with Remby. So that was the last one. So again, we're all still thinking 3 dimensions. Right, so this head is sort of tilted back that way. Right, this arm is like a cylinder that's kind of facing us. Right, but this part of the arm is going back that way. So I'm imagining it at a slight sort of position pointing that way. Right, this body behind is kind of still facing us. So there's not too much perspective there, but these legs ever so slightly are facing down. Right. And the feet. We're going to be seeing more of the tops of the feet. Right, if we were to actually, let's just box it out just for clarity. Feels like literally just boxes. All right, so we're kind of seeing the underneath here. All right, and we're seeing the top here. And I like using that coin analogy as well. If we had, like what's a bunch of Like we got that horizon line. The coin sits here, and then it ever so slightly moves away. Or like we see the bottom of it, the top of it, as it goes down from the horizon line. And we see the bottom of it, the underneath of it, as we sort of are looking up and down compared to the horizon line. And then we could do like her, if her head was tilted this way a little bit. And this is where I'm going to start doing more of this kind of stuff, just like test things out. What if her head was like facing more this way? You know, just slightly. Right, how would that helmet be affected? What if her head was then tilted way up? Right, would we even see much of her head at all? So yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but I've been getting way, way deep into the sort of imaginative perspective kind of stuff. Because that's like ultimate freedom, right? Where you can just start whipping out anything. So it should be looking backwards, like up. So this is where it gets tricky though, because I haven't practiced this sort of head angle. So her head would fit in here somewhere, right? Then we've got to think, okay, chin, nose. Maybe that's her glasses there. I don't know. You get the idea. Just start playing. Also, I'll also mention this. I'm planning on doing another workshop in January for both the US and European time zones, which is going to be fun. So keep an eye out for that. I'm currently making a little promo video for it. Because I had so much fun with the last cohort, or the last and first cohort, and those guys seem to get a lot out of it. So I thought, you know what, I had fun with it. Let's run it again. So yeah, it'll be available, I think, to secure your seat next week, I'm hoping. When I go to live gesture drawing, I always struggle with foreshortening the feet. It's like you can see both the top and the bottom at the same time. Any advice on that? Feet are bloody tricky, Andy. I tell you, I tell you. It's like you can see the top and bottom of this. I know what you're talking about. Because they are such like a weird, shape. All right. Yeah. So like they're very curved. Like it's not like a structure. But what I would try to do, is start with something more geometric in the beginning. They curl up at the toes. Yeah, foreshortening the feet. Yeah, so it's tricky. For me, if I'm having trouble with anything perspective, the best way I can sort of get that into my head is to give it some structure. So even if it's like this weird sort of duckbill shape, just to give myself something to hold on to, then I can hopefully build probably not off the top of my head. Feet are freaking tricky for me, but alright, so you can like build on top. And kick that back a little bit. Right, so again, you know the deal. It's like simplification. Very, very good skill to have. But first starting with that foundation to then build that drawing up. Because it's, very, very tricky sometimes. And you can like cut this back in because it's not going to be as bulky, and then this probably flatten out a little bit, but yeah, that's off the top of my head. But yeah, if you can find that structure, like find an edge where you can, like the heel. Where does the heel end? Boom, like a line down there. Right, where does this connect to the ankle? See if you can like structure it up a little bit. But the stress of the time limit makes me forget to start with solid foundation. Oh yeah, me too. I've got to do some more live gesture drawings. Ben, I know form is really important. Are you thinking of shape design as well while drawing also? Yeah, so instead of, for example, like here with the shoulder, like if I see a shoulder here, it's like very rounded. Right? Typically speaking. But I know the perspective that I'm looking at. I know that there's some sort of cylinder underneath here, right, for the arm. But instead, sort of like just force of habit as well, and based on what I've done elsewhere, like this is more of a triangle-y sort of shape, right? This is sort of coming back in, this kicks out, more of a triangle-y sort of shape. So instead of just doing the curve, I'm like, all right, let's kick it up. It still reads as the same. It still reads in perspective for the viewer. I could even do a little bit more of that for the helmet as well. Like whack an edge on the back there, which could be kind of cool to balance that out. Because then you've got like a nice little like thing here. Like there's a little bit of balance between that and then that back there. But yeah, I'm thinking about that at the same time, but it's all grounded in the understanding of sort of perspective, The Bone Brew early bird discounts. I'm thinking about doing something for Black Friday. We'll see. I gotta. Speaking of, I've got to hop off the stream pretty soon. To keep working on it, but Oranian, hey, generally been looking at potentially getting the Filthy plugin. Could you walk me through what you use it for? Not right now because it's not sort of in the current workflow, But if you go back a couple of streams where I do a bit of color, you'll see exactly how I use it. But yeah, the goal now is for me to do this all in a sketchbook, you know? To do this all in a sketchbook, all traditional, and I really, really, really want to pick up oils and get really bloody good at oils. Learned so much at the last workshop. Excited to see what's in store for the next. I appreciate it, Ty. This one's going to be another one, like another round of the grey matter. But yeah, I've got plans for some different workshops as well. Iranian, yeah, no problemo. All right, so I could just keep noodling on this forever, like doing all sorts of. And even if like this is how you've got, like, you can see I've been very influenced by Rembert as well, right? But you can see with this idea of the coins, right, you could start to add these like abstract shapes and maybe like weave in and out of her leg, right? Maybe it's like a ribbon. Why there's a ribbon? Don't ask me. Right, but because we understand that horizon line and where we're looking, we can start to put it in perspective. We're seeing the top of this ribbon, seeing the bottom of the ribbon, seeing the top of the ribbon, right? And if we were to do it even more structured, maybe it's just like a disc, right? We're seeing that disc there. Right, maybe she's got like chunky pants on, or there's some sort of like, what is it, like ankle warmers? Maybe she's got them. Right, we could accurately, or somewhat accurately, sort of place them. Or she's got like rockets, like little calf rockets. Right, like. You do also, like anything really, but basing that on the perspective is where the freedom comes in. Like that's very ergonomically incorrect. Her feet would just be like, phoom. You know what I mean? Gives you some freedom, right? I love drawing chunky pants. Being a 90s kid made me love MC Hammer pants. Mate, I tell you what, I'll have to pull up this picture one day. In primary school, I loved Wu-Tang clothing, and I had the baggiest pair of Snoop Dogg jeans, but they were silver. Very embarrassing, but I thought I was the coolest guy that you'd ever seen. I have heard you swear by boxes. And I am starting to feel like if you master ellipses and cylinder, you may not need boxes. Well, it's like, there's no reason why there's like a here or there with it. Like there's no cap on how many boxes you can use. So why not use everything? Or like any cap on any cylinders, boxes, spheres, ellipses, whatever, you know? Whatever works is whatever works, you know? Whack a cylinder down. Maybe we do a box right? It then transforms into a cylinder. Holy shit, look at that. Oh my Lanta. Wow, wow, wow. And then we connect that to a cylinder that then transforms into a box. Oh my god, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Whatever works for you, you know? It's not like you don't need it. If you feel like that cylinders and ellipses and that kind of thing get you to where you're going, more power to you. Awesome. Me too. I love them. They're great. It really doesn't matter, if that makes sense. It looks like an inhaler. Yeah, right. 85. A cylinder is just a box that is round. Boom. Ellipses are harder than squares in perspective. At least they are for me. Once I got the minor axis going, like understanding this minor axis, it does help a lot. But I do a lot of guesstimating, right? I'm not like super like measuring out everything. But once you understand like this minor axis, particularly with things like tires and that sort of stuff, it can help out a ton. Because it's like, all right, if the tire is going to be, like, I think about the minor axis first. Okay, then we can whack. Because with the ellipse, it's got to be like equal. This is got to equal to that. More or less, right? And then we just play with the thickness as to where the perspective is. All right, so if we do this, connect. All right, and then we can have this illusion of like the cylinder back here being cut off. So now we got that idea of maybe like a tire. Yeah. So that's how I think about the ellipses, which then turn into cylinders. It's super useful, even for stuff like the eye. All right. I want the eye to look this way. Play around. We got the minor axis here. Right. Beautiful. Everything's great. All shapes are useful, you know. Once you get one thing measured, the rest is easier because you can compare that to the first one. Boom, boom. There you go, lazy sketch guy. That's what I'm talking about. I think they are easier to understand for me. Fantastic. That's great, because a circle, when looked at, its edge is just a line. Not sure that makes sense. No, that's cool, man. Like, it's like you say, style is what you don't do as much as what you actually do. Yeah, more power to you. You utilize whatever makes the most sense to you. I've heard that Marshall Vandriff can tell your skill level in drawing just by asking you to draw ellipses. The advanced artists always consider that axis. Newbies don't. Yeah, and I didn't for a long time. But it's just such a cheat code. It's like I can't think of them without it. Like it's... And then you could like branch it off here and do like another And like come down here and we got like another here, and then you can like connect them into one another. Then you've now got like branches of a tree. It's like, so yeah, such a good way of thinking about them. But anyway, I have got to bounce. I've got a lot of work to do. But hopefully this makeup stream was a little bit all over the place. I mean, most of my streams have been lately. But yeah, a good bit of fun. You know, getting a little bit of perspective stuff working. Some imaginative thingamajiggies going. Right. But anyway, thank you again. If you like this sort of stuff, check the links in the description. You know what to do. You're smart people. All right. Always a pleasure. For those that are in chat, you're a bloody legend. And for those that aren't in chat, you're also legends. And I met a lot of you at Lightbox, the lurkers. I appreciate you. Hello, Ben. You're awesome. Much inspiration from you. Wishing you... E-boy. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for popping in. Glad I could make the tail end of it, Andy. Have a great rest of the day. You too, my friend. Lazy Sketch Guy. Glad to see you, dude, in a live... Yeah. Glad to be back. Glad to be back. All right. I've got to head off. Great hanging out with you, Bro and Brew, as well. I've got to say I like the Wednesday streams more. Yeah, well, this is the plan. I'm going to do some more streams. When the content mode ramps up, we're going to be pumping YouTube. We're going to be pumping streams. It's going to be fun. We're going to be learning a heck of a lot, and I'm looking forward to it. All right. Keep an eye out for the new workshop in the next couple of weeks. Sign up to the newsletter if you want to be the first to know, because it's going out to them first. They have first dibs. And yeah, I will catch you all in the next one. See you then.